The Arbabanim, the four sons, represent different personalities, actually different encounters that individuals, or types of encounters that individuals have with something that's different, something that's a question. Didn't really fully understand the Arbabanim, the four sons, until I experienced an event that happened with a friend of mine in Eretz Yisrael. A friend of mine had gout, and what he had to do is every time he came into the dining hall in the yeshiva to eat, he always went into the kitchen because they had to prepare something for him whenever he had chicken. What they had to do is they had to first boil the chicken to get rid of all the uric acid, and then they could roast it. So every time he walked into the dining room, he would always go into the kitchen, obviously go up by himself, and come back with his own piece of chicken. And then he would sit down to eat, and it obviously looked different and so forth. And I found it so interesting watching the different responses people had towards him having something different to eat. There was a person who said, "Why? What are you doing this for? What's going on over here?" Explain, and basically want to know everything about the his health situation. Then there was the guy who basically said, "What are you eating? What is that?" Okay. And then there was the guy who basically said, "Oh, our chicken's not good enough for you." Just mocked him. And then there was always the person who walked by, stopped, and just continued walking. Sound familiar? There's the chacham. Sees something different, says, "What really is going on?" Then there's the tam. The person just says, "What's that?" And all I need is an answer. Simple. Then there's a person, whenever they count anything different, "What are you, crazy? But this is good enough for you?" That's the Russia. The one who thinks he knows it all and can't understand that differences may exist for a reason. And then there's the one who just comes, sees, couldn't care less, and keeps going. And that's the Sheno Deili Shul. And that reflects a certain attitude in Sheno Deili Shul. Some people say it's just a person who's just not educated enough to ask questions. Other people look at it and say, he's even in certain ways worse than the Russia, because he doesn't care. He just doesn't care, even enough to ask it, to mock someone. That's the four banim of Pesach. And what it's really about is how we respond to new things, to things around us, to our world around us, to new considerations. Yeah, within Torah, we have to be careful about everything new. We have to ensure that it's not something that comes out of a negative place. On the other hand, though, we also have to understand that whenever we encounter newness, we encounter differences, we have to ask the question like the Chacham, what really is going on? Let me understand it, let me understand the details. That's the Chacham.